Hello, everyone. Welcome to Auntie Derek's Daytime Tea. Today is Wednesday. And I think I got the wrong date up here. I put it on May 6th, but it's actually May 7th today, so I apologize. And we're not gonna go back to fix it because if we do, we're gonna lose the recording. So again, today is actually May 7th and not May 6th, like I put on the heading of this chat here. But hello, everyone, and
Hi,
thank you for being here.
yeah, May 6th. Okay, Auntie.
I,
Anyway,
I am
it's
so
hump day.
sorry.
May 6th, everybody. We don't know what's going on with Auntie. But anyway, I'm out chill. I would have said May 7th, but hey, I didn't make this caption, so.
Look, and that's why I was looking. That's why I paused a little bit. I was like, "Wait, it says basic," but my watch says something else. I said, "Oh, well." When I set this up yesterday, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, child.
It's okay. Probably
Thank you.
thinking about your man.
Yes, I was. And I actually saw a story about him where he was taunting Ja Rule, but because Hammy suggested that we talk less about him, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna do this story. It,
Bless
it was
you.
it was a boring story anyway, so.
Bless you, Hammy. Bless you. Thank you so much.
Don't you bless him for that. I done told y'all not too much on my man.
Because he won't listen to us.
Well, we can go ahead and get started with the May Mayhem. And today we're gonna talk about Fannie Lou Hamer.
One of my favorites.
Baby, honey, this is a woman right here. Now hold on. It looks like it's trying to upload the link I'm using. There we go. So on slide 2, I just shared this link here from the womenshistory.org that gives this nice bio on Fannie Lou Hamer. So Fannie Lou Townsend Hamer rose from humble beginnings in the Mississippi Delta to become one of the most important, passionate, and powerful voices of the civil and voting rights movement, and a leader in the efforts for the greater economic opportunities for African Americans. Hamer was born on October 6, 1917, in Montgomery County, Mississippi, the 20th and the last child of sharecroppers Lou Ella and James Townsend. She grew up in poverty, and at age 6, Hamer joined her family picking cotton. By age 12, she left school to work. In 1944, she married Perry Hamer, and the couple toiled on the Mississippi plantation owned by W.D. Marlowe until 1962. Because Hamer was the only worker who could read and write, she also served as plantation timekeeper. In 1961, Hamer received a hysterectomy by a white doctor without her consent while undergoing surgery to remove a uterine tumor. Such forced sterilization of black women as a way to reduce the black population was so widespread, it was dubbed a Mississippi, ap- I'm going to mispronounce this word, I'm sure, appendectomy.
You got it.
Uh, I get yay. Okay. So unable to have children of their own, the Hamers adopted 2 daughters. That summer, Hamer attended a meeting led by civil rights activist James Foreman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, the SNCC, and James Bevel of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC. Hamer was incensed by efforts to deny blacks the right to vote. She became a SNCC organizer and on August 31st, 1962, led 17 volunteers to register to vote at the Indianola, Mississippi courthouse. I'm sure I said that wrong as well. Denied the right to vote due to an unfair literacy test, the group was harassed on their way home. When police stopped their bus and fined them $100 for the trumped up charge that the bus was too yellow. That night, Marlowe fired Hamer for her attempt to vote. Her husband was required to stay until the harvest. Marlowe confiscated much of their property. The Hamers moved to Ruleville, Mississippi, in the Sunflower County with very little. In June 1963, after successfully completing a voter registration program in Charleston, South Carolina, Hamer and several other black women were arrested for sitting in a whites only bus station restaurant in Winona, Mississippi. At the Winona jailhouse, she and several of the women were brutally beaten, leaving Hamer with the lifelong injuries from a blood clot in her eye, kidney damage, and leg damage. In 1964, Hamer's national reputation soared as she co founded the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party, or MFDP, which challenged the local Democratic Party's efforts to block Black participation. Hamer and other MFDP members went to the Democratic National Convention that year, arguing to be recognized as the official delegation. When Hamer spoke before the Credentials Committee, calling for mandatory integrated state delegations, President Lyndon Johnson held a televised press conference so she would not get any television airtime. But her speech, with its poignant descriptions of racial prejudice in the South, was televised later. By 1968, Hamer's vision for racial parity in delegations had become a reality, and Hamer was a member of Mississippi's first integrated delegation. In 1964, Hamer helped organize Freedom Summer, which brought hundreds of college students, black and white, to help with African American voter registration in the segregated South. In 1964, she announced her candidacy. I'm sorry, that word just beat my ass. For the Mississippi House of Representatives, but was barred from the ballot. A year later, Hamer, Victoria Gray, and Annie Devine became the first black women to stand in the U.S. Congress when they unsuccessfully protested the Mississippi House election of 1964. She also traveled extensively, giving powerful speeches on behalf of civil rights. In 1971, Hamer helped to found the National Women's Political Caucus. Frustrated by the political process, Hamer turned to the economics as a strategy for greater racial equality. In 1968, she began a pig bank to provide free pigs for black farmers to breed, raise, and slaughter. A year later, she launched a Freedom Farm Cooperative, FFC, buying up land that blacks could own and farm collectively. With the assistance of donors, including famed singer Harry Belafonte, she purchased 640 acres and launched a coupe store, boutique, and sewing enterprise. She single handedly ensured that 200 units of low income housing were built. Many still exist in Ruralville today. The FFC lasted until the mid 1970s. At its heyday, it was among the largest employers in Sunflower City. Extensive travel and fundraising took Hamer away from the day to day operations, as did her failing health, and the FFC hobbled along until folding. Not long after, in 1977, Hamer died of breast cancer at age 59. 48 years after her death, President Joe Biden awarded the Presidential Medal of Honor, excuse me, Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, to Hamer. So again, shout out to that wonderful lady. She had time. She was going to make sure she fought for black people, and she went through a lot. And imagine have like working at 12 years old and then deciding at 14, you know what, I don't want to work. I want to go to school. Like just stuff that we take for granted today is just ugh, child.
And she died so young. Imagine what she could have accomplished had she lived longer, you know, to be gone at 59 and look at all that she did in that period of
Mhm.
time.
In that period of time, honey, and when systemic racism was really showing its ass, honey. That the President Lyndon Johnson, she tried to do a speech on equality, and the President Lyndon Johnson gonna have his own speech televised so that way it can take away from hers. That's how you know she was making some shit shake.
She was. She was.
And I like the pig, the what they call it, the pig farmer that they talked about in this article, how she like provided pigs so that way black farmers could. Baby, when I tell you, I think black farming is it's almost like a lost art today, isn't it? Like it's really not that many, and it's not their faults. Like I'm sure lots of black people want to farm. It's just that systemic obstacles made it really difficult for them to do it and be good at it. So
Still do today because all of the subsidies and things that were passed out to farmers, a lot of black farmers were skipped over for those same benefits that they should have gotten. So it still exists. And I know people like to shout that racism isn't a thing anymore. We had our black president. But, baby, systemic racism is so ingrained in this society as we see now that it's popping at the seams, it's busting out, busting wide open. It's still there. The racism exists in ways that still oppress us financially, in housing, jobs, yeah, it's still there. So that's 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 what we're living, and it's I think it's much harder to root out, especially when we now have leaders who are making laws to reinforce these beliefs, getting rid of DEI and or what they claim is DEI, but look how things are crumbling. You know, how's that working out for you? Just DEI is a code word for the N word, you know?
Hmm.
And things are just falling apart. It's just crazy to watch. Anyway, come on, Will.
And the gag of it is the people who benefit most from things centered around DEI are who? White women.
And you are absolutely right. And the crazy thing is, I just have a really funny story, a quick story. So I'm not going to say which company it was that I used to work for, but I was a part of their DEI panel on there. You know, they had like ERGs and stuff like that. So they actually ended up creating a DEI team. So I was on there. You know, black, gay. I I look like diversity. So anyway, pretty much all the stuff that we were talking about in that panel was how to make white people not uncomfortable or stuff like that. Pretty much like because they did talk about microaggressions in there. I'll give them that. But then it was just pretty much like, oh, well, we should feel sorry because white men, they don't really talk about their mental health because people assume that they're crazy and they might shoot up places. I'm like, well, the numbers show that they would, like anybody who's more likely to shoot up a public place is not somebody of color. So I mean, but whatever. I honestly felt that that was just a waste of time. It was worthless. I've learned nothing, and that's that. So, and I feel like what's what's being like taught, or that's what's being talked about across the board in a lot of these quote unquote DEI. That is just pretty much how do we make white people comfortable about, or how do we make them not feel white guilt or something. I don't know. It's all weird. So anyway, that's that on that. Does anybody want to add anything about Fannie Lou or systemic racism before we get started with the tea?
Because I start cussing for real.
Okay. Hello. Well, let's get started with the tea, honey.
Tea time.
Yes. Well, the first thing we're going to talk about is one of Diddy's lawyers. So they really trying it. You know the defense has to try everything to make themselves look good. So I just shared this link from TMZ. Diddy's new lawyer says she survived sexual assault in 2001. Oh no, so I was sexually assaulted too. So if anybody can represent this man, this monster here, it's me. Anyway,
What?
yes, girl. Nicole Westmoreland, the newest lawyer on Diddy's team, is a survivor of sexual assault because she was allegedly raped back in 2001. The powerhouse attorney who officially joined Diddy's team this morning was just 19 years old back in 2001 when she worked for a company that helped people reinstate suspended driver's licenses. According to Westmoreland, Brian Williams, vice president of Cash Money Records, and a man named Stone met her and asked her to make a sales pitch to the company at Patchwork Recording Studios in Atlanta. One night, Westmoreland says she and three female friends went to the recording studio, where a large gathering was taking place. According to Westmoreland, a man named Alfred Cleveland was there, and she says he was a friend of Ronald Williams, then president of Cash Money Records and Brian's brother. During the evening, Westmoreland says she went to use the restroom, and Cleveland offered to show her where it was. Westmoreland says Cleveland got her into the bathroom and forced her inside and raped her. She claims another man came to the door, during which Cleveland allegedly told him to keep guard and then allegedly tried to pass her off to him. But Nicole says she begged him not to and he let her go. Westmoreland later said she was threatened about going to the police, but she did anyway, and Cleveland was arrested and charged with rape. He ultimately pled guilty to aggravated assault with intent to rape. Of course, Diddy's being accused of sexual assault and rape by numerous people, with many civil cases against him pending. The second day of jury selection in Diddy's federal criminal trial wrapped up, yesterday, with another 16 potential jurors, mostly men, added to the jury pool. So, yeah. So, look, optics is everything. I guess they was like, look, we got to get somebody who, if we can get this person who was a victim feel sorry for, get her to get people to feel sorry for Diddy, then maybe this could work. But that ain't how that. We kind of know. And I think like because of Scandal and because of a lot of like TV that we see nowadays, we kind of can smell a PR stunt from a mile away.
Yeah,
So
this is not working.
it's not, and we kind of know what it is, girl. You there to do a job, or you there to get a check. But we like, I don't, I don't know what they thought this was gonna do. But I guess at this point, baby, they are desperate and they are grasping at straws.
Hmm.
So that's that on that. And so y'all know that I'm sure y'all ever because we talked about this podcast before. There's a podcast called Two Angry Men, where it has Harvey Levin from TMZ and Mark Garagos, that lawyer. So I don't know if y'all knew this, but Mark Garagos' daughter, who's also a lawyer, she's currently on. I think she's a part of the prosecutors team. I think. Don't quote me, but I think I can. I'll look it up really quick. But he's Mark Garagos has been there. He's been back and forth at the case for the past 3 days because I guess he doesn't want to miss a thing and he wants to talk about it on the podcast and support his daughter. But now the judge done told him, now you got a new fan, so watch what you say because I'm gonna be listening to the podcast. So I'm just sharing this link from TMZ. Diddy trial judge warns Mark Garagos, says I'll be watching Two Angry Men. So the judge in Diddy's criminal trial is issuing a warning to Mark Garagos over his public comments about the case and vows he'll be watching and listening weekly to his podcast, Two Angry Men. Judge Arun Subramanian called Garagos into chambers Tuesday on day two of jury selection for how do you say this word, tete-a-tete, about a famed attorney referring to the federal prosecuting team as a six-pack of white women during last week's episode of the podcast he co-hosts with TMZ's Harvey Levin. Prosecutors alerted the judge to the comment, which they claim violated court rules because Garagos appears to be consulting with Diddy's defense team. The rule bars prosecutors and attorneys involved in a trial from making public comments that could influence the jury. During the meeting, Garagos argued the Supreme Court has effectively said defendants and their lawyers have a constitutional right to publicly defend themselves, and therefore the judge shouldn't gag attorneys connected to Diddy's offense. By the way, the judge squarely asked Garagos if he's advising Diddy in this case, his daughter Tinny, and Mark Agnifilo. I don't been. I don't. That man's name beat my ass, y'all. I'm sorry. Okay, so I was wrong. His daughter is part of the defense team. His daughter is part of Diddy's defense, not the prosecutors. But as he would say, he only talks to Diddy with great frequency. Anyway, the judge didn't disagree with Garagos's argument, but still reminded him certain comments are so outrageous that they wouldn't be tolerated. For instance, a six-pack of white women. The judge essentially said if Garagos pulls a stunt like that again, he could be cited for contempt. Bottom line, Judge Subramanian warned Mark Garagos about crossing the line on Two Angry Men, saying, I'm going to be watching and I'm going to be listening, all right? You have one more listener for your podcast. Thanks, Judge. It's available where you get your podcast. Yep, same with Auntie Dear's daytime too. So, but let's see. Judge of the case is daughter of Comey. Uh, huh? Really? I thought the judge was an Indian man named like Judge Arun Subramanian. Let me see.
That's the
Yeah, girl,
name.
this is like. Is she talking about a different case?
Oh no, because that's the name we've heard so far. In his case, is the Sobranian.
Yeah, and this is I just googled him. That is a very brown man, honey, and not any daughter of any FBI. I don't know. Well, anyway, that's that on that. So watch what you say, Mr. Garagos. So, does anybody want to add anything before we go to our next story? Baby, this next story is a wow. Or maybe the prosecutor, not judge. My bad. Oh yeah, I think yeah. Okay, yep. Well, this next story, honey. Oh my God. When it broke yesterday, I know y'all was as gagged as I was, baby. Smokey Robinson. What are you doing, boo? So I just shared this link from TMZ. Smokey Robinson sued for sexual battery by four former housekeepers. Child, Smokey Robinson is being sued by four women who say that they used to work for him, claiming he repeatedly sexually assaulted and raped them during their employment. The suit was filed in Los Angeles Tuesday morning by four Jane Does, claiming they used to work as housekeepers for the music star and his wife, Frances Gladney Robinson. The four accusers, who say they overlapped while working for Smokey and Francis, claim they were assaulted multiple times, with the first alleged incident occurring in 2007. While there are a variety of allegations made against Smokey in the document, there is some consistency among the Jane Does, with all of them claiming Smokey would call them into his bedroom or other places while his wife was away from the house. These women allege Smokey would then force himself upon them, penetrating them with his fingers, forcibly giving them oral sex or making them perform oral sex on him, and then raping them despite claiming they repeatedly told him no, according to the suit. The women claim Smokey would sometimes lay down a towel before allegedly forcing himself upon them so as to not make a mess of the bed linens. At least two of the victims claim he ejaculated inside of them without protection. They're suing Smokey for sexual battery, assault, false imprisonment, and gender violence. And they're seeking at least $50 million in damages. Smokey's wife of 23 years is also included in the suit, though the women are clear she never engaged in any of the alleged sexual assaults or the alleged rapes. Instead, they're suing Frances because they say she knew about prior alleged sexual misconduct Smokey committed and did nothing to prevent it from happening again. They also claim Francis created a hostile work environment by using racially charged epithets, giving them arduous tasks, and depriving them of meal and rest breaks. We've reached out to Smokey and Francis. So far, no word back. And then the article ends. If you know someone who's been sexually assaulted, please contact the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE or go to rain.org. So RAINN.org. So, Smokey, what the fuck?
Baby.
Child, go
Let
ahead, favorite
me know.
Taurus. Oh, sorry, boo.
So, oh,
No, go ahead.
so after I read about this, and if anyone is familiar with the album he put out in 2023 called Gasms,
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
I it, my immediate thought was, it was this like, was that like a dog whistle to what he was actually doing? That's where my mind went to as soon as I heard about this
Mm-hmm.
lawsuit. It's utterly disgusting and truly unfortunate. I honestly don't think this is the first time that's happened. You know, because now we live in the age of social media, and I'm pretty sure if it existed back in the time where he was more prominent and more active in the music industry, we would have been hearing about this a lot more, not only from him but for other artists as well. But unfortunately, all we have to go off of now is are the words of the folks that actually lived it or alleged situations that happened, because there's no concrete evidence that we have now, unfortunately. So, I mean, if that is the case, it's kind of like I guess it was a long time coming, but we'll see. You know, like if I'm a firm believer of believing victims of these certain instances. So in the event that they are actually telling the truth and the evidence backs up their claims, I hope they get the justice that are they rightfully deserve.
Yeah. Green-eyed monster. Ugh. I hate this when men are like this, especially men with power, and money. And I'm not saying it's exclusive to them, but the tendency to happen in those circles is really high because power and money are the absolute corruptors, right? And women
Mm-hmm.
become the prize that you can abuse and take advantage of, at that level. So it's just it's so disgusting.
It really is, and I hate to say this, but I'm not surprised. It's like because I would actually be surprised if he wasn't because it's. I hate to put this out there like that, but look at here. I feel like he's been doing stuff like this for a long time and been getting
Hmm.
away with it.
Yep. Him and a
And
lot
we
of
just
stars of his era were doing it.
hmm
So yeah,
and this has been going on since what they have in the report since 2007. And I'm sure they probably felt like a lot of victims feel like if they speak out, they're going to be silenced. They're maybe even killed and yeah. And
I
it's
wouldn't be
like, so,
surprised if the victims are of another ethnic group that typically would be afraid to go to the police. You know.
yep.
Mm.
And my whole thing is like this is how you know it's about like power and or maybe it's like some kind of weird narcissistic thing he got going on because who in their right mind would not because the thing you saw how he said he had to force these women for him to eat them out. You are Smokey Robinson, honey. Do you realize how many like women have literally thrown their panties at you? I think I can't prove this, but I think my grandmother was one of them.
Well,
And you
and then
don't
you
who
ain't got to do that.
right. Like I would gladly if Smokey Robinson said, "Hey Derek, I would like to eat you out." And even though and y'all know how I feel about light skinned men with green eyes, but even I would say, "You know what? Okay, Smokey," and I let him eat me out. So it's just like
You know these little delusions you have. We gonna have to talk. You come to my office after this. But I feel you, boo. I mean, he don't have to do that, but see, it's not about consent. It's about
yep.
power. It really is. And rape is never about consent. It's it's
Mm-hmm.
just disgusting. Disgusting.
Well, very disgusting. The hell with you. And I feel like we're gonna hear a lot more. I feel like it's gonna get nastier. Then we're gonna find out even more stuff about his ass.
Yeah, that they weren't the only ones, or uh, pedophilia. Anything could come out at this point. You know, you just never know
Mm-hmm.
with these people. And this is what makes me so amazed by fans of people who can sing or have a talent, play sports, singers, actors, such and such. You don't know anything about these people, and you're arguing with people on the internet and who did it best and who wore it best, and uh, so and so said this, and I don't see why they said this because she got slammed at her concert. She's not selling tickets, on and on and on and on, and it's fucking crazy to me.
It is.
It really is crazy to me. You can like somebody's music without idolizing them as a person. I just don't understand it. This fandom is just it's out of this world for me.
No, it definitely turned into something. Because I'm gonna tell you, like somebody, because I was pretty much grew up in the especially like when it first began. So long story short, a lot of like black gays remember the forums on BGC Live, and that's when you kind of saw well any online forum for that matter. But back in the day, it was more of like a friendly oh, because Beyonce was like the hive. That's when the older hive, millennial hive, and stuff like that. And they were just kind of, it was all done in fun. And it was like, oh, my girl does this, your girl does that. It was just fun. But now it has turned into like, oh, I'm going to go and shoot you, or I'm going to be standing outside of your house, or I'm going to
Mhm.
get, like, it's wow to me.
Yeah,
But
I know where you work. I know where I can find you. Say that to my face, and like over somebody you don't even know, that doesn't know you. They address you as some name, my Barb's or my Beehive or whatever. They don't know you, and you out
mhm.
here getting all ignorant and wanting to fight, and there have been fights between fans. It's really something to watch. The mindset of different people on this earth.
Yeah, or lack thereof, because a lot of them act like they don't have no brains or minds to think. So
Uh, they have a brain, but it's not working. It's it's easily influenced and led, and um, all kind of stupid ideas put into it, and it's retained. Like no critical thinking skills, just dumb, dumb.
No critical thinking, just vibes. Well, and I'm sorry to tell y'all, but we have a story about another sexual assault or sexual abuse for that matter. Now, before I start, does anybody in here do y'all watch the show Boardwalk Empire or have
Mm-mm.
heard of it?
Heard of it?
I've heard of it as well, but I don't watch. But one of the stars actually got arrested for sexual assault, honey. Say denim sales guys. Oh, I don't know, Happy. Your guess will be as good as mine. But Boardwalk Empire star Michael Pitt arrested for sexual abuse. And I just want to start before I start reading to y'all, it is the details is really graphic. Like he is a very violent man.
Trigger warning.
So trigger warning, yes. Michael Pitt has been arrested on sexual abuse charges, with authorities accusing him of sexually assaulting his then girlfriend and later attacking her with several blunt objects. According to the indictment, prosecutors say Pitt charges stem from four domestic incidents that allegedly took place between April of 2020 and August of 2021. Cops claim the alleged incidents occurred at the actor's Bushwick home with his then girlfriend, where they say fondled X on one occasion, and then months later allegedly sexually assaulted and struck her with a wooden plank. At a different time, prosecutors claimed he attacked the alleged victim with a cinder block. According to law enforcement sources, Pitt was arrested on Friday, May 2nd at 9 p.m. for assault, injury with a weapon, sexually motivated, strangulation sexually motivated, sex abuse, and forcible compulsion. Pitt pled not guilty to all charges against him. He posted a $100,000 bail and was released from custody. Fans of Boardwalk Empire will recognize Pitt as Jimmy Darmody, a main character in the first two seasons of the show. The character was killed off because Pitt was reportedly hard to work with. Pitt also appeared in Hannibal, Hugo, Hedwig and the Angry Itch, Dawson's Creek, and Seven Psychopaths. Pitt's attorney, Jason Goldman, tells TMZ, unfortunately, we live in a world where somebody like Mr. Pitt, an accomplished professional who would never so much as contemplate these crimes, can be arrested on the uncooperated word of an unhinged individual. In reality, this baseless claim is suspiciously raised some 4 or 5 years after the alleged incident, at a time when the two parties were in a completely consensual and voluntary relationship. This case will be dismissed. Mm-mm.
We
That was
will
a,
see.
that's what he said.
Like she ought to have some damn evidence if he beating her with cinder blocks and 2x4s.
Hello, that part. And you know how like what most abusers like to do, honey. Anytime like somebody speak out about their abuse, they say, "Oh, well, this is an unhinged individual. Look, they're so unhinged." And whole time, and people be telling the gospel truth. He look crazy as hell, honey. So I think we need to go back to judging books by their covers, because he looks like the kind of motherfucker that beats on bitches.
Looking at his eyes, you know what I'm looking at.
Okay. Hey, Slayonka.
What's up, B?
Well, that's that on that. Does anybody want to add anything else about this creep before we go to the next story?
No.
Ass clown. Somebody should hit his ass with a fucking cinder block. See how he like it. Well, our next story, um, Barry Diller. Have y'all heard about him?
Don't know that name.
Okay, so he is the husband of Diane von Furstenberg,
Oh,
and
okay.
he just came out as gay. Hold on, let me get the
Okay.
trying to get the link for y'all. Give me 1 second.
Well, that's what happens when you're married to somebody famous, a woman. We don't never know your husband, but we all know Diane.
You know Diane, honey, and know her well. But the gagger is, honey. You know, a lot of people have been saying that she might have a type because this is the second time this is happened. Because her first husband and father of her children
Mhm.
was bisexual.
Okay.
Yeah, and now Barry has come out as gay. So I just shared this link from the Express Tribune, and they tell us Barry Diller, husband of Diane von Furstenberg, comes out as gay. Barry Diller, the influential media mogul and longtime husband of fashion icon Diane von Furstenberg, has come out as gay whilst discussing his unconventional relationship in a candid new memoir. In an excerpt from Who Knew, published Monday in New York Magazine, the 83-year-old Diller reflects on his past same sex relationships and his complex but enduring love for von Furstenberg, calling their romance the miracle of my life. While there have been a good many men in my life, there has only ever been one woman, Diller writes. She didn't come into my life until I was 33 years old. Diller, the chairman of IAC and Expedia Group, has been married to von Furstenberg since 2001. Their relationship, which began in the 1970s, spanned periods of separation and reconciliation, has long intrigued the media, particularly given speculation about Diller's sexuality. Though Diller says he lived much of his adult life as more or less openly gay, he admits he feared publicly acknowledging it due to the stigma of the time. Fear of exposure still had a tyrannical hold on me, he writes. It stunted any chance of my having a fulfilling personal life. He also acknowledged that the passionate and spontaneous nature of his relationship with von Furstenberg defied explanation. I also like guys, but that's not a conflict with my love for Diane, he states. In some cosmic way, we were destined for each other. Their relationship has weathered decades, including a 10-year separation and rumors of infidelity, but Diller describes it as the bedrock of his life. The pair was most recently seen together at the 2024 Met Gala, rare public moment for a couple that has lived largely on their own terms. In his memoir, Diller also reflects on how shifting cultural attitudes have made space for more fluid identities. Sexual identities are much more fluid and natural now, he writes, without all those rigidly defined lanes of the last century. Who Knew will be released on the 20th of May. So, yeah, I
Uh,
probably won't be reading the book, but good
Come
for him.
on. I think this is. I'm gonna let Will express his thoughts. Come on, Will.
Go ahead, favorite Taurus.
Like, you know what, Barry? Be who you are for your pride. I. Don't hide for your pride. I. Barry. No, wait, all serious. I think this is actually amazing. Like I find it really um, heartwarming, and it feels really good when folks who are from a different generation than mine, more particularly like a previous generation of mine, like they come to the awareness and they want to publicly validate their existence or who they're attracted to or who they love. I think it's amazing, you know, because there's so many. I think we talked about this briefly in weeks ago, I believe, but like there's a lot to combat when it comes to like expressing yourself outside of like the confines of the binary of what folks of your generation deem to be acceptable, you know. And so taking the steps to kind of live on his own terms, I think it's amazing. And it opens up a more discussions about the fluidity, like he stated, of like attraction in sexuality and all of that. So I definitely think him expressing this is going to really change the hearts and minds of people and others who may be in a situation or even older than he is may be able to come to terms based upon his example of him coming out. So I think it's amazing.
I agree. And let's see, we got a comment. He was the CEO of Fox, Paramount, and Universal. What do we say? We have a comment that says people knew. So I
Right,
guess it wasn't a secret.
right. I mean, he's been gay all his. That's where I was going. He's been gay all his life. We're the only ones surprised because we don't have access to those circles. But he's coming. There's been many men in his life. There ain't no way in hell it was a secret. I'm sure even Diane knew. So I guess it's a good thing that he wrote a book, though, to try to um, be an ally in the community. That hey, It could be anybody that you know. So I'm not mad about that, but I don't think it was a surprise either to his cohorts.
The only thing I'm surprised at is that this being the second gay man or the second, man of the life that Diane has married. So that leads me to believe that maybe she does have a type. She might be fluid as well.
Maybe, could be.
Oh well, her first husband did come out and say she did have an experience with a woman, but she wasn't a fan of it. So go ahead, favorite Taurus.
So I wonder, who this reminds me of? Liza Minnelli.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
she as well has had a history of having romantic or intimate relationships with men folk who have come out to, I guess we can say queer is the appropriate term, not straight. We'll go with that. So it's very
Mhm.
interesting, but again, it goes back to, I don't know what this is called, but I definitely think there's a correlation. But I definitely think it's a generational thing as well. And it's, well, I'm going to research it after this because it's very fascinating to me. So
well, queer men were her biggest, among her biggest fans. Like, weren't they? I mean, I can totally see, um, even though a man may be queer, that this is this idolization, this fandom would make them love this person even enough to marry them. It doesn't stop the lifestyle. I don't think. And maybe she knew. Maybe she was okay with it. It's you don't know what goes on in people's lives, but just judging from her
Mhm.
fans, I think queer men were big fans of hers.
Yep.
I definitely think it's rooted in companionship more than anything. Because when we think of like romantic relationship, it typically boils down to like the physical intimacy of it, but there are different aspects and layers to those relationships as well. And I definitely think that that's something that they kind of
Yep,
draw drew to when it came to making the dedication of being married to that person, which is interesting as well. So there's so many different layers to this. It's very interesting.
it is. Many people, I think, out of the limelight are in the same situations. We know it exists. Just having a man
Mhm.
around the home, and they know. I don't think they're unaware. Like the church girl marrying the church guy, which
And I
even
oop.
even though a lot of them churches tend to down talk being gay, there's a lot of gay men in the church. I mean, let's just call it what it is. So a lot of times they marry women from the church. So yeah, it's out there
Yes, it is. We
now.
probably would have seen it with RuPaul and Diana Ross, but I guess they both got married to other people. So, but honey, it looked like they were on the way. Because when I tell you RuPaul lives for some Diana, so,
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes, like you say, it's companionship. It's not so much what goes on in the bedroom, because that doesn't sustain any marriage. It's so much more outside of the bedroom that needs to click, for any relationship to work. And sometimes sex just isn't that big a thing for some people.
well, I will hope not, honey, because that orgasm gap. Cause, let me stop. And then we have a comment says he looks like Herbert. Hammock, you are mean. That was mean.
I mean, you don't have to have sex to have an orgasm or give a woman an orgasm for that matter. There are all kind of tools and ways to, you know, it's just not a penis and vagina thing all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's not like
Yep.
that all the time. So there's ways you can please your partner, whatever your orientation or how you are okay with. Then yeah, there's ways to do it. So you really want someone who's going to treat you kindly, be considerate of you, um, yeah, and be your partner. You
I
that
want
thing
all of
going.
that as long as he's not a Capricorn. Let me stop.
Or Pisces.
Or a Pisces, baby. Mm-mm.
I mean, could you see yourself? Well, I probably shouldn't go down that lane.
Oh, I know what lane you're going down, and I will answer honestly. Yes, I could see myself, especially for financial reasons.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Married to a woman, yeah.
Hell yes.
And they were accepting
Absolutely.
of you, as you are. I'm just saying, it's like
We'll
the
be
world
around here
says,
looking like
life
Jackie and
is
Elgin.
right. Stunting on them.
Oop, allegedly, allegedly.
Yes, allegedly.
What does anybody want to add anything about gay men marrying women before we go to the next story? Well, y'all, this next story, honey. Chill, you were actually just talking about like obsessed fans and how fans do the craziest things.
Oh
Now,
Lord.
what if a fan actually offered to sue on your behalf? Is that crazy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's what Shador is going through at the moment. So I just shared this link from the Shade Room, and you see how it says, "Child fan sues the NFL for $100 million over Shador Sanders draft results." A fan sued them, honey.
Yeah. Okay.
So now y'all know fans are passionate, but this right here, woo. A self-proclaimed dedicated fan of Colorado football just filed a $100 million lawsuit against the NFL over Shador Sanders falling to the fifth round of the 2025 NFL draft. Yes, you read that right. $100 million. The
Hmm.
enraged fan claims the NFL violated several laws, but it didn't. It doesn't stop there. He's also accusing the league of intentionally causing him emotional distress after witnessing Sanders' unexpected draft fall. But what really has his fan fired up? Well, let's just say the details behind his claims go deeper than what's being made public. There are whispers of certain behind the scenes conversations and events that may have played a role in Sanders' draft slide. According to sources, there's more to the story than meets the eye, and it's clear this fan believes there's something far bigger at play here. This man, listed as John Doe, is claiming the league violated antitrust, civil rights, and consumer protection laws. He also threw in intentional infliction of emotional distress. The fan reasoned that he watched his fave drop to 144th overall to the Cleveland Browns, expecting Shador to be first round pick. Now, here's where it gets wild. The fan is alleging that the NFL owners colluded to tank Sanders' draft stock after negative reports and leaked statements about his interview behavior surfaced. The lawsuit even hints at racial discrimination playing a role in the decision making process, further fueling the fans' outrage. And baby, the demands are wild. The fan wants 100 million, a formal apology from the NFL, acknowledgement of his emotional distress, yes he is, and more. Most specifically, the fans lawsuit seeks a formal acknowledgement from the NFL regarding the emotional distress caused by them, and a retraction of the slanderous statement made about Shador Sanders. Not to mention, he also wants an apology for any harm caused to his reputation. Lastly, he seeks implementation of fairer practices in the drafting process, so players are given opportunities based on merit. It says the complaint filed in Georgia federal court is currently under review by a district court judge. The lawsuit has already stirred major buzz, with the fan accusing the NFL of multiple legal violations. He also claimed racial discrimination factored into Shador Sanders' unexpected slide to the fifth round, despite Sanders putting up top tier numbers that had many projecting him as a first round pick. According to Doe, he became a fan after watching Sanders light up the field against TCU back in 2023, calling his talent exceptional. Meanwhile, Sanders is gearing up to suit up for the Cleveland Browns this season, following a standout final year at Colorado. And then it talks about some stats I'm not going to read. Let me see. And then it goes. It talks about like the celebrities who's had his back after this ordeal. So I won't read it because we already talked about that. But yeah, so I mean, the fan is not wrong. Now, how he's going about doing it, but he's not wrong. Go ahead, favorite tourist.
This is scary. It is so scary that folks will come to the realization in their minds, the parasocial relationship that does not exist, that they have the right, or good intent to speak on behalf of these people that they do not know. But I'm actually not surprised at this at all because we are exposed to this type of behavior on various social media platforms from fans of folks past and present. Like if they act as though they're lawyers, they act as though they're publicists, they act as though they hold some sort of position in that person's life who has made or done things that kind of speak to them or make them feel great. It's giving very much Stan, like that Eminem song. It's like two steps away from Stan. you know, I don't understand. Well, it's not for me to understand because I'm not of that mindset, and I'm okay with that. It's just I don't understand the the intended outcome of doing this, and also, of course, there's going to be some sort of outcome that they are expecting to happen. But what happens in the event that they don't get that outcome? What happens then? You know, like people tend to overstep entirely too much in the lives of public figures that they do not know, and it's very scary.
Hmm. And suing for his emotional distress, not Shador's, but his John
Right.
Doe's. That's
Not suing for my benefit. Like what the hell? He's suing for his own benefit.
child. You're right, Will. It is scary. I'll admit I laughed at it, but it's really not a laughing matter. It's actually scary. So, and speaking of parasocial relationships, me and Chill talked how she just finished season 4 of You. And I told you, I said, girl, I can't wait for you to. And it was nice to know, refreshing to see that she was just as disappointed as I was. So, but yeah, if you were planning on, don't let that, if you were planning on watching season 5 of You, go ahead and still watch. Yeah, I will say it was not as bad as the fourth season. It's still bad, just not as bad as season 4. It was watchable. But does anybody want to add anything else about Shador and this delusional fan suing for his emotional distress? All right. Well, speak while we still talking about court, let's go ahead and talk about some more money and millions and stuff. How Jay-Z said because that girl lied on him, she done he lost out on almost $200 million worth of opportunities because of her. So I just shared this link from All Hip Hop, and y'all see where it says Jay-Z blames accusers' legal team for ruining $170 million in deals. Jay-Z has escalated his legal battle, accusing the woman who once sued him for rape and her attorneys of continuing to smear his name even after dropping the case. The hip hop mogul filed an amended defamation and malicious prosecution lawsuit in Alabama on Tuesday, May 6th, targeting the anonymous woman known as Jane Doe and her legal team led by attorney Tony Busby. The updated complaint calls out a TikTok video Doe posted in April of 2025 where she lip synced to an aggressive audio clip saying, "You couldn't pay me $1 million to get an apology video out of me. I said what I said. Fuck you," according to Rolling Stone. Jay-Z's legal team claims the video is part of a broader pattern of public statements that show a shocking and reckless disregard for the truth that is both intentional and malicious. Doe never had any reasonable grounds to support any truths in her statement and acted with reckless disregard for the truth, the complaint states. In other words, she lied. Although Doe dropped her lawsuit in February, she has not walked back her allegations that Jay-Z and Sean Diddy Combs raped her after the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. Jay-Z's amended complaint goes further by accusing Busby of orchestrating a campaign to damage his public image. The filing alleges Busby directed his staff to make over 100 edits to Wikipedia pages tied to his law firm in an effort to polish his own reputation while tarnishing Jay-Z's and that of Roc Nation. The lawsuit also names attorney how do you say this name? Antigone Curis as a co-conspirator. Jay-Z's team claims she allowed Busby to misuse her legal credentials to file the original lawsuit and failed to verify the allegations before moving forward. According to the complaint, uh, Busby and Curis colluded to extort and defraud Carter by making false rape allegations against him. Jay-Z's attorney says the fallout from the false claims cost him $55 million in a personal credit line and 115 million loan for Rock Nation. The complaint notes that Jay-Z and Rock Nation are inextricably linked and that the reputational harm impacted both. The lawsuit accuses Doe and her legal team of attempting to pressure Jay-Z into a settlement by threatening to go public with the accusations unless he paid up. Busby has denied the Wikipedia editing claims, calling them laughable and super weak. Jay-Z's legal team insists Doe had no reasonable basis to support any of her claims and acted with reckless indifference to the truth. The case remains active, with additional court proceedings expected in the coming months. Mm-mm. But I thought Beyonce says, like, it's because now I understand losing money. Nobody wants to lose money. I do. I really, really do. But isn't this a billionaire that we're talking about? So the amount of $170 million, like for a 55 million, definitely a $55 million personal loan for you. Yeah, I maybe can understand the 150 million for the Rock Nation loan, maybe because that maybe needed to pay artists and blah blah blah. But a billionaire mad because he can't get a $55 million loan, like this is. I don't know about y'all, but it's just not like usually 1+1 = 2, and this story right here to me is like 1+1 = ice cream. Like it's just not. It's not. It's not coming together.
This is how wealthy people operate. They use other people's money.
Ah, okay. Gotcha. Yep, you're right. Mm-mm. Well, that's that on that. Does anybody want to add anything to Jay-Z or Tony or that lady before we go to the next story?
I know she's regretting her decision to listen to Tony Busby's ambulance chasing ass, allegedly.
Hello.
Look where he got her now.
Yep. Well, y'all, this next story here, remember we talked not too long ago about that woman who goes by Chris Brown's wife 777 and how she sued. She sued Chris Brown because he pretty much posted a video of her and she says that video ruined her life and stuff. Well, now she has come back out to say that pretty much like she was just playing, she was acting, and yeah. So I'm sharing this link on from Vibe on slide 10. And y'all see where it says, fan calling herself Chris Brown's wife now claims her threatening posts are fictional. A woman named Angela Relaford made headlines last month after claiming she was suing Chris Brown for defamation and public humiliation. After making several bizarre and threatening posts about him and his dancers, his fans dubbed her as a stalker. However, in a new twist to the ongoing saga, Relaford recently declared that all of her previous, current, and future statements made about Brown and his dancers are part of her artistic expression. In an attempt to explain her wild behavior, Relaford asserted that she is an actress and artist who is using her platform to perform dramatizations exploring serious issues like bullying and mental health. The woman's alleged legal filing includes a video that Brown reposted in 2024 where she allegedly made threats towards him and his crew. In the footage, she discusses disturbing thoughts about harming Brown's dancers, which led the singer to share it with his own chilling comment. I'm not trying to be mean at all, but this shit is scary. That's what Chris said. Despite her claims of using her platform for artistic purposes, Relaford claimed to be suing for damages, arguing that being labeled as a stalker harmed her reputation, has harmed her reputation and has caused her public humiliation. She insisted there's no basis for the label, no police report, no restraining order, just false claims that have damaged her career and personal life. Falsely labeling me a stalker is defamation, she asserted in another post. The situation originally began with Relaford sharing videos and posts claiming that Brown had been secretly communicating with her through his music videos. She believed that the synchronicities between her life and the scenes in his videos were signs of affection from the singer. Chris, thank you. I saw the signs, the synchronicities, the winks, she wrote, adding to the increasingly strange narrative. She also referenced her original video in more recent posts, elaborating how she believed the media tried to tear her down. Instead of letting me be, they tried to destroy me, she wrote. They took my acting, my satire, my creative expression, and twisted it into something dark. They used a mugshot from a wrongful arrest, charges dismissed, and pushed a false narrative that I was a stalker, a threat. It was a smear campaign, and I was thrown to the wolves of 145 million people for a lie. Relifer also referenced her initial video of being kicked out of a club that Breezy made an appearance at following his 11/11 tour last year. I was being humiliated at the club, bullied online, all for what? Because I was a fan with confidence and beauty, she said. Because I dared to show up and have a little fantasy life. So I don't think I really need to read much more of this. This is all, mm, girl. To hell with her and him, to be honest. So, that's that on that. Does anybody want to add anything?
I was joking. Okay, girl.
Oh, weirdo. Weird, just like that man she loves, honey. Well, y'all, this next story, this is actually really, really sad. So millennials, honey, you know how most of us used to love us some That's So Raven. And some of us are actually still watching Raven's Home. Now, I've only watched the first season of Raven's Home. But it from what I saw, it was a good show. But I used to love me some That's So Raven. And y'all remember the dad, Mr. Baxter, played by Rondell Sheridan. Well, Rondell Sheridan has pancreatitis. And I actually learned that word thanks to Chill. But I'm sharing this link here from Vibe, and y'all see where it says Rondell Sheridan, dad from That's So Raven, shares GoFundMe to help cover medical bills. So I'm gonna share my screen for a bit, and we're gonna watch him talk about it. And first of all, he is 66 years old, and that's a good looking 66, I have to say. But I just hate to see that he's going through this. So give me 1 second.
Hey, friends. It's Sheridan here. On April the 10th, I was on the road and got sick. Went to the hospital and they thought it was gastric. I got home on the 12th, immediately went to the hospital at Northridge and was told it's pancreatitis. Tons of tests. I was in the hospital for 9 days. I got released and I thought I was on the road to recovery. But it was just for observation. My pancreas is inflamed, and there's not much you can do about it but just wait for the inflammation to go down. I didn't realize that I was going to be and will be out of work for quite some time. I'm setting up this GoFundMe to help with some of my medical bills, but just expenses. If you have anything that you could donate, I would gladly appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So and let me just see, because his GoFundMe has a $35,000 goal. Let me just see where it is as of now. Okay, so as of now, he's raised a total of $25,459 out of his $35,000 goal. So yeah, that's sad to hear. And y'all notice how when he was talking, you kind of see how like so Chill, medical question. So something like pancreatitis, does that affect your breathing? Because you notice how it almost sounded like it was hard for him to talk in the video, like he was out of breath
He's
and
probably
stuff, or maybe
probably in pain in his abdomen, cutting his breath short. You know, your stomach moves when you talk, so you know all of that vibrates down your chest, whatever. He probably is in pain.
yeah. Well, then he's expecting to be out of work for a while, so
Yeah,
yeah.
pancreatitis ain't cute. It can be deadly.
Yes, and that young boy I was talking about last week, he actually passed. You remember I sent you that article about it when you taught me how to properly say that word, and
Yeah.
unfortunately he passed away. The young man from Floribama Shore.
Yep, I saw that.
We have a comment. It's so sad to be sick and big, almost like the last thing he needs to be dealing with. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, well, that's that on that. Does anybody want to add anything before we go to the next story? Okay. Well, this next story is about a rapper that I'm sure y'all do not care about, but G Herbo. He's talking about how his child's mother, Ari Fletcher, how she called him a he said who? G Herbo, who made that iconic song called Swerve. But I just shared he's Ari Fletcher, the mother of his child, called him a deadbeat dad, or called him a terrible dad rather. And he responded. His response actually was not what I expected. I was expecting him to go like back and forth, but he had a response of like understanding and anyway. So although the co-parents relationship between Taina Williams and Ari Fletcher has gotten a lot better since their initial risks, G Herbo still has to deal with some of the important conversations. Recently, on BET's For the Fellas show, he reflected on a moment during the Impact ATL in which Fletcher called him a bad father. In the clip, Ari expressed frustration with Herbo for leaving their son Yosan's birthday party early and missing his graduation. He admitted he messed up, but said that the way she was going about her issues was just her opinion. In another clip from the reality TV show, Ari Fletcher spoke on co-parenting with G Herbo and refused to outright call him a bad dad. She may have her problems, but she knows how great of a father he usually is, and he said that it will always be love between them. Fletcher apologized for coming off harsh during their interaction, so that terrible dad quote from the first clip was just an emotional slip. On For the Fellas, the Chicago rapper expressed that Ari calling him a terrible dad in the first clip is not something she actually means, but he still understands where she's coming from. She don't mean it at all, G Herbo remarked concerning Ari Fletcher. It's no way that you really feel like I'm a bad father. I'm too active in my kids' lives. I feel like she was just properly frustrated. She said that to kind of get under my skin for real, because she felt the way. When that happened, that was my son's graduation. He graduated from preschool, but that was also my daughter's first birthday. So I had to be both places. I was in two places at once. Communication was like the best thing for us, he continued. A lot of times it's just the uncomfortable conversation that's got to be had. A lot of times we as adults, we avoid these uncomfortable conversations. I stopped doing that and it was beneficial. I was the kind of guy I avoided all uncomfortable conversations. I'm like, all right, whatever. Like you said, I'm a confident man, and I'm confident in who I am as a man and as a father. I feel like I don't got to talk to you. I don't got to explain myself, but it's okay to see. All right, what is it that I did that may have offended you or frustrated you or whatever the case? Okay, I can apologize for it, and I can tell you that I'm gonna try my best for it to not happen again. That's where I am as a man. So G Herbo and Ari Fletcher started dating around 2014 and broke up towards the end of 2018, months after your son was born. Since then, they've been very open about their co-parenting struggles, but even more so about their amicable path to the healthy and honest bond that they share now. So again, another rapper that y'all don't care about, but he says Ari calling him a bad dad. She was just frustrated, and I get her frustration, but she knows that's not true because I do too much for my kids. But the fact that you got these ghetto twins, honey, I'm sorry. So you had to miss your son's preschool graduation because your daughter's first birthday party was on the same day. Child, I'm like, this is ghetto. And if y'all not familiar with who Ari Fletcher is, currently I believe she's still dating Moneybag Yo. Are y'all familiar with Moneybag Yo, right?
And we still don't know. Okay.
Damn. Damn.
Next. I know what it is. But child, come on.
Yeah. Well, I got two more stories left. The next, I feel like y'all might know this rapper because he was actually very popular when he came out not that long ago. Bobby Shmurda. Are y'all familiar with him?
I know Bobby.
Okay. Well, Bobby actually had to cancel his concerts, honey, due to low ticket sales, allegedly. Like an average of 10 tickets per city. And he's going back. Yes, honey, 10. Like 1-0. Diaz in Espanol.
Oh.
So I just shared this link from Hot New Hip Hop. And y'all see where it says Bobby Shmurda addresses rumors that his tour only sold 10 tickets per city. And he's actually having a really nasty back and forth with like the promoters and stuff. So anyway, Bobby Shmurda has sadly had to come forward and announce that his forthcoming tour is now canceled. However, making this even more painful to witness is that allegedly, on average, he sold 10 tickets per city. Per Complex, the Bobby Bitch rapper did take it on the chin in an Instagram post. Hey to all my fans, I apologize for the tour being canceled. I take full responsibility, he began. However, in the ensuing sentences of his lengthy explanation, he also put blame on the booking agent, Philip Stengel, and Sergio Patillo, the founder of the artist management company Oak Street Media. I have to go through lawsuits with these guys, and he tagged them, both Philip and Sergio. He said, I work at that I knew to do better with these guys. Um, Let this be a life lesson to all business owners and affiliate. Don't leave nothing in no one's hands. Don't matter how much you got to work. Nobody's going to treat your work like it's you, except if you got a top pause done expert. But that happens once in a blue moon. Because you have money, don't make you a boss. Y'all, I am so sorry. I know that sounded crazy, but I can promise you that's exactly how it was written. So let me see. It goes on to say, in that same post, Bobby Shmurda attached a heated exchange between him, Stengel, and Patillo. In it, they are arguing about the tour's promotion and marketing. Patillo did his best to extinguish the flames, but Stengel was clearly not going to take that disrespect from Smurda. Hey, bitch, let me know if you need the book mailing address to sue me, Stengel said. And anytime we can run the fucking fade, ain't no bitch here. You ain't gonna talk about me like you have been. There were there was some eventual reconciliation between the three men though, so hopefully things don't escalate any further. Um but in the same breath, Stengel wanted to make it clear that the reason for the cancellation was due to low demand and not an issue with advertisement. On his Instagram, he replied by bringing what he says are the facts. Full transparency. The tour was canceled due to an average of 10 tickets sold per show, not a lack of promotion. We ran ads, we have receipts. This wasn't about effort, it was about demand. He added, sometimes artists lash out in public. That's emotion. We deal in data. We wish Bobby Shmurda the best of luck on the club circuit. Moreover, Stengel also included a screenshot of what looks to be an email further explaining why they had to pull the plug. Let's be clear, the tour was canceled because average ticket sales across markets were 10 per city. That's not viable under any circumstances, no matter the artist or budget. Bobby Smurder chose to publicly vent rather than acknowledge performance metrics. His frustration is understood, but the numbers don't lie. He concluded the problem wasn't promotion, it was demand. This industry isn't about emotion, it's about execution. If 10 people are buying tickets, there's no show, period. This post was a distraction. The facts are the facts. Finally, Stengel even went as far as to post screenshots of his IG story of the low sales for the cities on Bobby's Still Alive tour, where some were showing zeros. Hopefully, the hot nigga MC can figure something out though. He was supposed to begin his run on May 15th in Springfield, Missouri. It would have wrapped up on June 19th in Fostoria, Ohio. Damn. He said, not the club, sir. Okay, you caught that shade right. I said, he is trying. And I want y'all to keep in mind that Stengel is a white man. And he was the one talking about, stuff, ain't no fade here, bitch. We can catch the fade. I'm like, hold up now. What's going on? And trust me when I tell you, I believe I need to look this up. I know for sure that Bobby's uncle is Uncle Murder. And Uncle Murder is from East New York. And if y'all know anything about East New York, Brooklyn, let's just say those are the last people you want to start fights with. So, baby, because they do not play. So go ahead, favorite Taurus.
What is the obsession with murder? I don't understand.
No.
Bobby Smurda, Uncle Murder. What is going on here? Wasn't he in jail?
Yeah.
He was indeed. Yep.
Did he go to jail for murder?
I don't know why he went.
No. I'll give him something he can murder. Oh my God, Hammy.
Oh my God.
Let's do a quick Google search. Why did Bobby Shmurda go to jail?
I don't think it was murder.
Yeah, because I feel like he would have still been in there. Oh, it says, so according to Google, Bobby Shmurda went to jail because of his involvement with the GS9 gang, according to a YouTube video on Wikipedia. He and other several members were arrested in December 2014 and charged with conspiracy to commit murder, weapons possession, and reckless endangerment. He later pled guilty to conspiracy to criminally possess a weapon and was sentenced to 7 years in prison, later reduced to 5 years after receiving credit for time served.
Yeah, sound like he got caught in a RICO.
So it's centered around murder. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, their whole
And
name is murder, so I guess they live up to their name, right?
Now y'all see why I said you don't want no smoke with an East New York milk, because that's what they know. But it did. It wasn't all. It also was not lost on me, because you know, I can't stand that whole pause movement. I hate when people, especially when grown men, act like they can't say a word without saying pause. But then again, I'm gonna give Bobby just a little bit of grace because of his age. He's very young, so it's old. The old niggas like Dame Dash are still doing like really nigga. But anyway, but y'all, I don't know if y'all saw that video. Like when Bobby got out, it was like a couple of years after he got out, and then there was a video with it looked like a really feminine gay guy, like a really feminine Spanish gay guy that he was with, that people weren't sure were a man and woman. And it wasn't lost on me. He was like, you know, they always try to what matter of fact, let me go back and read it. It said, because he said something about a top and then said pause. I'm like, I don't know about y'all, but I think I just heard a dog whistle. So let me see. Where is it? They say, don't matter how much you got to work, nobody's going to treat your work like it's you, except if you got a top. Pause. So,
Okay.
So it's Bobby, you doing the bending?
Be able to murder it for you, Hammy. I'm just saying, you know.
Said, now wait, I'll put it to the test. I don't want y'all to say anything about me and my man ever again, because this is clear that at least my man ain't never killed nobody, Hammy, or planning to kill nobody, or was part of any gang affiliation. Well, never mind. I guess you could consider G Unit a gang if you.
That's supposed to make it better. You know what?
Your man should be killed. Oh my God.
Does not absolve you of this delusion, fantasy, whatever this is.
I love him.
Okay.
Well, does anybody want to add anything about Bobby Schmurder or him schmurdering the pussy before we go to the last story? Allegedly. Because we don't know if Bobby is part of life now. Something is wrong. You just figured it out, boo.
I tell him that all the time, Hammy. All the time. Something wrong with you.
Well, our last story, y'all, it's actually we're gonna end on a good story, good inspirational story. Okay. Especially like with what we talked about Quinta Brunson yesterday and how she got a lot of backlash for doing what she did on SNL.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now her hometown is giving her a key to the city, honey. So I just shared this link on slide 14. It's from ABC 6 Philadelphia, and we're actually going to watch this. It's a news segment, and we're going to watch it really quick. So give me 1 second. Let me share my screen. It's about 2.5 minutes long, but I just thought it was so cute, and I love when hometown show up for they people.
In just a few weeks, Abbott Elementary creator and star Quinta Brunson will return home to West Philadelphia and to her alma mater, the Andrew Hamilton School.
And our Alicia Villarelli is here now. Alicia, this is a two-part celebration for the local Emmy winner, and it's very deserved.
It is. First, as part of a huge celebration happening right outside of her elementary school, Quinta will receive Philadelphia's Key to the City from Mayor Sherrell Parker, and then they will unveil and dedicate a massive mural that wraps around the school, one that Quinta helped design herself.
I just want to make sure that she loves this.
Emmy Award winner Quinta Brunson teamed up with Mural Arts Philadelphia to design a mural to adorn her alma mater, Andrew Hamilton School. They call it Blooming Futures, a beautiful allegory of growth.
about a garden and how the students are the plants in that garden, while the teachers and staff are kind of the stewards of that garden.
The staff, students, parents, and community members all had a hand in creating this, down to each paint stroke.
Everybody's gotten their hand in this at one point or another.
And just like the fictional version of their school on the hit ABC show Abbott Elementary, Quinta wanted to make sure real students were featured here.
And I'm excited to see how our parents react to seeing their children on a wall that's going to be here forever. So it's going to be an amazing day.
Yeah, that's legacy.
Definitely legacy.
Legacy, emotions, happiness, joy.
You'll see Hamilton's principal, Dr. Torrance Rothmiller, and that's 8th grader Glory Melton.
I don't know what to say about it. Like, it's really overwhelming. Like, just being up there, it's a feeling that you can't actually explain.
And here's her mother, Loisha's reaction when she saw her daughter's image about to grace the wall.
And having her really be able to see, like, this is the impact that she's putting onto the school, that was incredible. Watching her come to tears.
And on May 28th, their mural will be dedicated to celebrate their blooming futures.
It's going to be electrifying. We're happy to have Quinta back, especially in the very place where she grew to become such a fabulous showrunner.
Woo! Yes, she is. Quinta will be here. She said, "This city shaped me. Now I get to give back with a mural that celebrates all that it gave to me. I am truly honored." And how about those kids on that mural?
Oh, wow. Yeah. I'm sure she's glad to share it with them.
Awesome.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm so excited for them.
Thank you, Alicia.
It's gorgeous.
Oh,
Wasn't that cute? I was like, oh.
so cute.
Now, Quinta, when you get your keys to the city, girl, let's go straight to Ishkabibble's because a bitch want a cheesesteak. And you know, if I stand beside you, I can get my shit for free. And then they'll give me the premium steak. What you better get, don't you throw no tomatoes in my cheesesteak. No, but speaking of Philly cheesesteak, this is a mess. Y'all familiar with DC Young Fly, right?
Remember
Of course. Yeah.
So he went to, everybody kept saying he was in Philadelphia, and I think they were doing a show. I don't know if it was Wilding Out or something, but they was like, you know, going around with their phones, filming their journey or whatever. He was like, everybody telling me I gotta have a Philly steak. Everybody telling me I gotta have a Philly steak. So they go to where they were told was some of the best Philly steaks in Philly. So he just sitting there, he eating it on camera. He really didn't look too pleased. He was just like, you mean to tell me I came all the way to Philadelphia? I was doing what he was saying. Like, I came all the way to Philadelphia to get a cheesesteak that tastes like just like the one I could have gotten in Atlanta. Well, I was hollering. So, but yeah, so congrats to Quinta. That is like that's like a big accomplishment. The key to the city, and the girl, she's been working and she has put Philly on the map. So, and I know, Chill, you're not familiar with the show, but it's a fan favorite, as you can see. So, yeah, I'm happy for her.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead.
It's a beautiful story. I loved it, and the students being included. The mural is beautiful. Go ahead, Will.
I'm a big fan of Quinta. It was way before Abbott Elementary. I'm talking about where she was a producer at BuzzFeed, all the way back there, and to see what she's been able, what her talent has allowed her to be able to accomplish. It's been so remarkable to see, you know, and not only for the people of Philadelphia, from others who have walked a similar path, they're just showing them what is possible, you know. Naturally, there has to be a bit of luck and opportunity into it, but if you stick with your passion and stick to what your talent can provide you, the opportunities are endless. And Quinta has been like a pillar of that notion being true, especially for this newer generation. So I love everything all the positive things that are happening to her, because based upon the work that she produced and the lives that it touches, definitely deserves. So good for her.
Yes, and how she's a big part of like pop culture and has been for a while. Because even think about anytime that I know me, I've said it several times. If I see something that somebody says, "Oh, I bought this and it was expensive," or "Oh, I eat this type of," I was like, "Oh, he got money," or "She got money." That was from thank you. Yo, she iconic. So, and then I was actually a big fan, and I know people weren't really a fan of this, the Black Lady sketch show that came on HBO. I loved it especially when she was on it. But I guess a lot of people did. I saw somebody said that it was a little too suburban for their urban humor, which I understand. But I laughed with the show. Oh, baby, will you agree with the suburban humor?
It wasn't a good show. But I was gonna say a large.
Right.
No,
So
but
shout out to that icon.
I wasn't a fan, but I definitely appreciated like the representation that it had, because it definitely depicted like Black humor in a different light outside of like the binaries of what folks believe to be associated with Black people. So I appreciated it from that aspect. It just didn't resonate to me as a person that was watching. It just wasn't funny, so.
Yeah, and I see your sentiments were shared like multiple times across the time. Like especially when the show was like live, I'm over there like tweeting about it. And I'm like, yes, this is funny, yes. And then I'm getting tweets like, you think this is funny? Okay, girl. I'm like, am I going crazy? I'm giggling over here. And also shout out to Robin Thede, honey, because we love smart, pretty women. And I remember I was watching the episode of Celebrity Jeopardy, and she won that episode. I don't know, maybe she lost the one after that because I didn't see her afterwards. But yeah, the girl is smart too. She's smart, funny, sexy. Reminds me of me. So anyway, that was all the tea that I had for us today. So before we head out, did any of you have any tea that you want to share, or any tea I might have missed? Okay, y'all. Well, it is always a pleasure. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come and sip tea with me. We will be back tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time if you can make the live show. And again, we have that, just like I said on yesterday's show, we have that email now, auntie@auntiederek.com. So if you have any show feedback, any suggestions, any tea that we should know, please send it to us. And in the meantime, I hope to see you all tomorrow, but you all have a fabulous rest of your day. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, favorite Taurus.
So, question about that email, Auntie. Is that going to be like the strawberry letter where people write into you, you answer those questions on the air? Or that's something different?
It could be. No, this is just pretty much for everything. So it could be used for that. It could be used for except don't talk shit about me about my co-host in my email. No, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see y'all talking shit about no co-host. But like any show feedback, saying, oh, the show was funny today, or I got knowledge about Misa Hilton and why she's really upset at marriage. No, we want to get emails like that. But if you want some advice that I don't think I'm in a position to give anybody advice, but hey, I'll still give it if you want it. So yeah, you can email that too.
Interesting. Okay, good. They're good to know.
All right. But again, thank y'all for being here, and I hope to see y'all at tomorrow's live show. Take care now.
Bye, everyone.